going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we are going to be telling you our testimonies.
And most people do these separately, but ours are kind of together, but we're also going to tell you all a little bit before we were together and our relationship with Christ, how it was then.
We'll start with yours. I feel like yours is a very, subtle...
Short, yeah. So when I was younger, maybe 5, 6, I would go to Sunday school and vacation Bible school with my great-grandma. And then after she passed, I really didn't go to church anymore. None of my family really went to church other than her. So, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. Never thought about it anymore until I met Lexi, so.
Did you feel like a real connection when you were there, or was it just, something kind of fun?
I was 5.
But, I mean,
I was there for fun and to draw in the kids' room.
That's what I'm saying. What's your memory of that moment?
I don't even have a memory, honestly. I have a picture in my bedroom at home of me and my Buzz Lightyear with some finger paint. So that's the only memory I got, I guess.
That's good. Well,
okay. No, I do have memories of doing lock-ins, though, because some of my friends, I think, went to church there, so we would do, lock-ins every night.
Oh, that's fun. Do they still do lock-ins? Where basically, I remember ours was, New Year's Eve. So all of our youth group would, gather in our little fellowship hall, and we would stay up to, 6 a.m. the next day and, locked in the building, can't leave or anything. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was.
But I guess getting into my story, since that was yours before.
Yeah, yours is a lot longer.
We had a really big testimony together, is why it's a key point. But so basically, I grew up in the church. My dad was a pastor, but he didn't have his own building. He would go around and be guest pastor. So I've always known the Lord, which is a very good thing that my parents were so driven to for me to know. But it was over the course of the years that it started to be very draining, because I was never properly, I feel with the Lord. For years, my dad was every Sunday we go to church no matter what. So it was if friends were over, they're either going to church with us or their parents pick them up before we leave. And it was always, you have to wear a dress or wear fancy clothes, which is okay, but it's very draining, and it always felt if I decided to wear jeans or something.
It started to feel more forced than it did you were going because you wanted to feel that connection with Jesus.
Yes. And so then when my parents got divorced, it was up to us kids on who we wanted to live with, where we wanted to go, and we traded off weekends. So my dad was pastoring around then for a little bit, and I was I really don't want to go to all these new churches, and I don't want to feel alone because our family wasn't together anymore. We all would sit together, and I'd just be alone in a pew, and it didn't feel good to me. But speaking on when I got baptized and when I really got saved, I was in I'm gonna say middle school.
I don't know, you were 12. That's what I remember.
I was young.
I wasn't there, but from
talking about it, I was pretty young, and I just felt very spiritually led to just go to the altar. It was very a burden on me, and I always would cry, and I hated crying in church because it would get me every time. And my sweet Sunday school teacher just led me to the altar, and we prayed over it, and I asked for Jesus into my heart, and I was saved. And then the following Sunday I got baptized, which was still a very rewarding core memory, and I still remember that day vividly, and it was very, very good memory. I kind of led off the path when I was with Christian, because it was kind of a freedom. Christian had the peace of not stressing on going over to church every Sunday, and
just being a kid and just not ever thinking about that,
and they're
just doing whatever I wanted, pretty much.
And the Christians I were around in a little small town, I feel were very rule booky. If you don't follow this or this, you're not an actual Christian. So it's very hard to look up to, and having him to be okay, let's go hang out on Sunday, or go do this or go do that, it was very nice. Unless I was at my dad's, my dad was very honestly, as I got older, okay, you can go to church with me, or you don't have to. You're older now. This is your decision to make, which was very good. And
I'll say it's probably harder when you hit that 16-year-old age where you can drive. So on the weekends you have 2 days after school to do stuff. So obviously,
and if you play sports too, it's very you just want to relax or hang out with friends.
Sometimes you don't even get a day off on the weekend to
if you have tournaments or stuff. So
not saying that you shouldn't go to church as a teenager. I'm just saying it's
a pressure. It's a lot of pressure, and I'm very thankful for how I handled it, because I I didn't go off the path completely or like do drugs or do anything. But when I started inviting Christian to church, he would just kind of go with me and just kind of sit there and absorb it.
Just
go
to,
eat Mexican after.
Yeah, I just went to make you happy, pretty much.
And it was very sweet that you did do that. But then, like, when I was very unsettled because I know you didn't want to. And then when we moved to Bowling Green, I didn't see my mom on the weekends at church. That was kind of like where we met up, where she lived away. And so, it was just like we didn't go to church. And we didn't search for a church either. It's like, it was just kind of like a freedom spill of us, like, trying to find our lives and what we felt right. We didn't want to go to church just because we were forced to go to church.
Yeah.
So after we moved to Bowling Green, and then we both lived with our friends, and then we finally got our own place. Of course, we were living together before marriage.
Yeah.
And you know what?
We didn't wait for marriage.
Didn't wait to marriage. But in our case, we feel it's still as much of a blessing for us because
we're still the only
we've
people.
only like slept with each other. So it feels still like a very rewarding only each other thing. And it's still a very, very special thing like for both of us because it's really hard to say people even wait to marriage, but even to wait for like just one person if they didn't wait till marriage. So 6 months into marriage, we find out we are pregnant, like in complete like bitter shock.
Yeah, and like we were I don't know if I'd say you're struggling financially, but we weren't like
every bill was paid and everything was taken care of.
It was paycheck to paycheck. Pretty much.
But like if we wanted to go out and do anything extra or
we didn't have any money to go out and do anything extra other than that. So to think about adding the financial cost of a baby into that was really scary at the time. So the only thing we knew to do was just pray to God and
like it was the first time I've ever had Christian come to me first and be like, let's pray over this. Like, it's always like me leading prayer or me doing this because that was his comfort zone. My comfort zone was I grew up on prayer and doing prayer, and if you have something, you pray about it. So, like, steering you towards me was like, okay, wow, this is what we need. And we were so in shock and, like, scared, honestly, for a little bit. But I was so excited because I wanted to be a mom, but still deeply scared because I didn't want to have to, like, work 24/7 and not be with our baby. And
we had some things we wanted to change with our life. Like, we were cussing a lot before we found out we were pregnant with Asher, which was mainly my fault. Lexi never cussed until she met me. And then, like, she kind of came and did the things I did, which I guess would make
it's kind of like a freedom
I'd be
spill.
a bad influence for a little bit there.
I wasn't allowed to, like, cuss or, like, do things, which, I mean, is a good precaution way, but it
Not
made
saying
me...
that, like, cussing is, like, the worst thing ever and you're gonna go see Satan.
But where I was never allowed to cuss, it was like a freedom of like, oh, I can say a cuss word and not get in trouble. And then now I don't cuss anymore, and I don't, like, it doesn't bother me if other people do unless it's like repetitively.
I still do every now and then.
But it's just like, it's my thing, and everyone has their things, and I just don't do it anymore. But when we found out we were pregnant with him, we were like, God, like, please help us. Please lead us. We are not on the right track. And in order, with me being a diabetic too, I was scared, like, for pregnancy. Because I've heard so many bad things about diabetics and pregnancy, which, thank goodness, everything went honestly so good.
Yeah.
And God just kept leading us and rewarding us.
We went to a church for the first time after we found out that that you were pregnant with Asher.
We went to a church.
We really liked the church, but...
The church was really good, too. I really liked that church.
Yeah.
And we went there every now and then until we had Asher. When I gave birth, we kind of strayed away.
So we started to feel like Asher was kind of like a gift from God. Like, God sent Asher to change us.
Repairs.
And change our hearts. Because just literally... the thought of having a baby changed our whole lives.
Because if you would have asked us in that moment if we were ready and, like, wanted this, we'd been scared. But now, like, it is the most rewarding and blessing and, like, happiest thing to us. Like, I just love being a parent. I love being a parent with you. And it might help that I have a really good spouse.
And, like, Asher's, like, such a great baby. Like, he's pretty much perfect. Like, he really doesn't get mad at... Unless, like, just normal things a baby would be mad at. But, like, other than that, he's a really good kid.
He is honestly such a good kid, and we've learned how to navigate parenting together, and we have our ups and downs when it comes to agreeing on, like, things with him, but, like...
And, like, when he listens to worship music, he'll put his hands up like this and wave.
I cry every time.
And I'm like, there's just no way a kid this young... And, like, he doesn't do it when other music comes on. It's only worship music, and I'm like, there's no way that he
doesn't feel it,
he isn't, like... I don't know.
I feel like when you are spiritually led, it is brought down through blessings. My dad was a very spiritual led man. Like, he could feel like God in his bones, and like he gets really into it. And I would say I'm kind of the same.
Yeah.
Like
I'm not nearly as much.
I get chills when I do certain prayers, or like I cry every time worship music like leads me to something going on in my life.
I think worship music is like the only
thing that really tugs you.
Really gets me like chills.
Yeah, it's so good. I love worship music. It really puts me in a like, not in like a sad place, but like an emotional place. Like it helps me on some hard days and on some good days.
But for 6 months after Asher was born, we didn't go to church.
No.
Until we moved to Tennessee, and then we were like, we have to start finding a church. And we didn't just not go to church because we didn't want to. We were really scared with Asher.
And I didn't want to interrupt, and I didn't want him to go to the kids' room. I know so many babies are never good, and our music was loud in our church, and it was like, I just didn't want to interrupt someone's peace on a Sunday, which is so bad, I know, like, now to think about. So we'd watch it online a few times, but it was very hard because you had to watch last Sunday's episode that Sunday. So it was really hard to, like, fill in the moment with them. But then we got to Tennessee, and
we tried a few. We went to several, and then we finally have found our one here, and you're a leader.
I'm a leader. You're a half a leader.
It's hard for both of us to be leaders when we have Asher.
Yeah, like usually I get there early to help out with like, you know, like setting up and greeting, and like my calling, I feel like, is to spread his word through my like love, happiness, peace through you guys.
Kindness.
Oh, that's what I supposed to do. My kindness. And Christians is just like, you're still finding your place.
Yeah. I'm still learning. Like, I would still say I'm very new to this whole
But you're very good at showing your son, because you'll be the first to turn on worship music with him. And, like, you're the one that taught him to raise his hand, I feel like. Like, you always, like, you get really, like, into it, and you want to raise your hand and praise him. So him seeing you do that at home is what gets him, like, all in his feelings. So we found our church here, and we were in for about 2 months when Christian felt called.
Oh, I got baptized. I was like, what did I feel called to do? So, yeah, I got baptized just this year. So that's crazy. A
very, like, yearly testimony thing. Like, mine started obviously since I was young, and then yours was like, okay, in and out knowing, and then like the past 2 years have really
and then this year my goal is to read the Bible, because I want to get the basics down. So I feel so new, and when people talk about like scriptures and stuff, I'm like, I don't really know what we're doing.
But there's no pressure to know, because you know everyone goes at their own pace.
I want to know like all these things, and like.
And even though I've known over the course of my year from Sunday school, I forget.
Yeah.
Like, I used to know all the books of the Bible from a song, and I used to know, like, I can only rephrase, like, 2 scriptures right now. And that's, like, it feels so, like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
But, like, you should never feel that no matter your knowledge. Like,
yeah.
It's so overwhelming in the Christian environment, because there's always.
I feel like you feel the pressure. Like, no one's even pressuring you. You just feel the pressure to do it, like, on yourself.
Yeah.
You pressure yourself to try to.
Think you're not the perfect Christian, or, like, you're not a true Christian because you're not doing like the perfect things.
You're not like, we feel like we're not true Christians if we don't know every single like line of the Bible.
But I promise you, there is absolutely no perfect person anywhere in this entire world. And you know, if some other Christian is judging you from how you're being a Christian, they're not a true Christian. Nobody should judge anyone on their level of Christianity or what they do or how they do. Like, you know, like if someone cusses.
You should just always try to encourage people.
Yeah.
Because like, downing someone, especially like if someone's new and just learning, and then like.
Or they're trying to.
They're trying to learn, and then some random person that's a Christian comes up to them and is like, "You're not living this perfect life," and there you go. You just lost a Christian.
I feel like that's back into cussing too, because like there are cuss words in the Bible. And people that are cussing and they're maybe trying to cut back, or they're not, they can still be a Christian.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, you said a cuss word, you're not a Christian. What does that have to do with anything of, like, Christianity? Like, it's so sad, and I hate it on this world, how people are so mean about it. But obviously the devil is fighting back, and honestly, if people are hating on your love for Jesus, they're hearing about him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're getting somewhere with it. But that is our testimonies with each other. Like we said, the last 2 years have been a very big blessing, and God has been with us through so much. And I hope if you are following us, or you're a new follower, or you're just now watching this, that we can spread the love to you and know that Jesus does love you, and Jesus wants to accept you into your heart.
And we'll see you all in the next one.
Peace.